Hey guys, it's been a while. So I want to talk about how I've been staying sober in layman terms. So I'm going to just be, point blank, transparent, and just tell you how I did it. So hopefully I can help you guys. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, and we're going to dive into this. So I initially tried getting sober, hundreds of times, and I would always relapse. And then finally, I had a rock bottom in 2008. And that was when I got that thud of truth in my gut. I knew I was done. It was just like, I knew I had to change. I knew I had to dump the girl I was with. I knew I had to go home. I had a converted school bus I was living in, but I was living with her, partying with her friends and getting wasted twice a day. Stopped eating food. I mean, I looked horrible. I was just hiding in a dark room, shaking, and really bad. So I walked home back to the school bus, and I had 2 beers in my backpack, and I knew that you could die from sudden withdrawals from alcohol, and I was hitting it so hard. I was like, I'm gonna just sip on these beers, and that will be it. And that's what I did. And after I sipped on those beers, the 2 beers, I slept for like 14 hours. When I woke up in the morning, I was very weak, and I had to go to work. And I slowly just started to nurse my health back by eating food. But it was very hard in the beginning. I couldn't even stomach yogurt, because I wasn't eating anymore. So I eventually started to eat meals, which was a big feat. And I knew I'd have to get rid of all my old friends. I knew I was going to be lonely for a while. I didn't have any money, so I couldn't move out of that town. But they say in 12-step meetings that you have to get rid of everything, that reminds you of drinking. That's people, places, and things. And I grew up in a small town of only 9,000 people, and everyone knew me as a drunk. And my only friends left were pretty much homeless alcoholics, except for one or two from my childhood, but they were drinking a lot too. So it was hard. When I got my health back a little, I got a second job, and so I would work from 6 a.m. until 10 o'clock at night. And I was still smoking cigarettes. And so that was something to look forward to after work. I didn't smoke until after, like 8 p.m. I was one of those smokers that could control it. I felt gross if I smoked earlier than that, especially if I smoked a cigarette in the morning. So I tried to not smoke until after like, 6 p.m. So I looked forward to my cigarettes and M&Ms. I would go to the store and get M&Ms, and so that was my treat at night. And I would watch movies and documentaries, and I would read. I started reading self-development books, and I started to change my mindset. And I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and that was a trippy book because he basically talked about manifesting money out of thin air with just your thoughts. And so I've always wanted to make money ever since I was a little kid. So I basically focused all my attention on saving money from my jobs. They didn't pay a lot, but I was excited. I started investing into stocks. There was a Edward Jones right next door to the grease spoon that I worked at. So I would take my measly $500 paycheck and go over to Edward Jones and buy stocks. And this was like 2008, before the financial collapse. But I was excited, but I was extremely lonely. And I would go for drives in between breaks and just look at my Edward Jones portfolio and just look at the numbers. And if it climbed, 0.5% that day, I would feel good. I would feel good about myself. And I would go home and I would ignore all my old friends, and they left me alone because they were mad at me because I was just a wasteoid. Even they were disgusted. And so it wasn't too hard to ignore my old friends. But eventually, I knew I had to get out of that town, and I saved enough money, and I attracted a sober girl at one of my jobs. I got my confidence back and my self esteem and my health. I started working out at a gym. So I just played racquetball and I'd lift weights and I would hit the sauna after my workouts. And the sauna was amazing. It relaxed me, it got rid of any excess adrenaline. Because a lot of people that drink a lot, they have anxiety. And I had a lot of nervous energy, so I would work out and hit the sauna, and I'd feel amazing. And I wouldn't even want to like smoke cigarettes after a workout because the sauna cleaned out my nose and I could smell the fresh air outside, and it was so invigorating. Then I put all my focus into making money online. I discovered social media, and I wrote a memoir about my drinking called The Drunk, and it's still on Amazon Kindle under the name Eric Christian. But I just focused everything now on creating content and trying to make money online, and I just stayed to myself. And there were times I was so lonely that I picked up a pink stuffed turtle, and I called him Kirby. And so before I met this girl, I mean, I was single for 2 years, and I just would work and come home, and lived in that converted school bus. I eventually met my current fiance, and she was sober, and she wanted nothing to do with people that drank because her dad was an alcoholic. And so we got along great, and I started dating her. And we eventually bought a running school bus, and we drove out of that town. And she used to work at resorts. So she turned me on to resorts because before that, I was like, there's no way I can leave this town. I only make $10 an hour. I can't afford to move. But eventually, we saved our money and bought a running school bus for like 2,500 bucks, and we moved to Port Angeles for a month. And then she finally got a job at a resort in Colorado. So then we drove across country in the school bus, which was cool, to Mesa Verde National Forest. And she worked as a restaurant manager, worked her way up from waitress to manager. And I was avoiding working. I didn't have to work because we weren't paying rent, and I was making a couple $100 a month online. But I finally got a job. I was like, all right, screw it. I'm going to work too. And I actually worked my way up to sous chef because the sous chef got fired, and they just needed a placeholder. So I basically wrote a book literally on that job as they didn't need me on the line. So I was like, I'm going to just hide in the office and write another book. So that was that was pretty cool. I was just so happy to get out of the small town I grew up in, Port Townsend, because there I was so depressed and just getting drunk and horrible life. It was a really sweet town when I was growing up, but when I became the town drunk, it changed the whole town for me and kind of ruined it. A lot of dark secrets in that town that I left behind. So I then from Colorado we moved to Austin in the bus, and that's when I discovered internet marketing more, started making money with affiliate marketing and network marketing, and had a couple relapses. Um, and I had enough sobriety at that point that when I had the relapses, I was like, ew, this is gross. I blacked out and started tweeting, drunk tweeting on Twitter, made a fool out of myself. And I was like, and I vomited all over the carpet. So my last day drinking without any more relapses was December 2013. And then from there, I just dove into working online and making money. And I discovered The Secret and Law of Attraction in 2016. Started doing affirmations and vision boards and all that stuff. And it actually worked because I started making more and more money without working harder. And I eventually quit the last dishwashing job in 2016. And my fiance and I went to Peru. We did ayahuasca and had a spiritual awakening. That's the same year that the Holy Spirit rocked my world and I became a born again. And it's been amazing ever since. But it's all in here because a lot of alcoholics, they think they have stinking thinking and they're negative and they're like, they're just programming themselves to have more failures because they're like, they're always saying things like, there's always something, or just my luck, or money doesn't grow on trees, or whatever. You know, it's negative programming and you attract what you think about most of the time. So I rewired my whole brain and started to think more positively. And every little success I had, I would celebrate it. And I was grateful every day that I was alive because I almost died from drinking. So I was grateful and I was making money online and my health was great and uh, everything was just looking up and it's been an upward spiral ever since. So the takeaway from this is you have to get away from your old friends. They might pretend they support your sobriety, but really they're just waiting for the day that you're going to party with them again. You really have to cut ties. It's very dramatic. Um, and it's hard, but I would rather be lonely than be the town drunk any day and get picked on by bullies and vomit all over the place and make a fool out of myself, passed out or blacked out drunk. Um, so now my life is pretty amazing. I'm still kind of a recluse. I have a couple friends online. I have you guys, which you guys have been amazing. You've left comments and you're very supportive. And I really enjoy your comments, so keep them coming. Like this video, let's get it all over the internet. And leave a comment. How are you doing with sobriety? And how long have you been sober? Um, I congratulate you, even if you have 1 day of sobriety. I want to remind you that it never gets better. Even if you have 10 years of sobriety, if you relapse, you'll go back to the state you were in about 2 weeks. Um, the disease never stops growing. The alcoholism is progressive. Uh, if you're not ready to quit, that's fine, but eventually you're going to hit a bottom if you're an alcoholic. It never gets better. If you're an alcoholic, it keeps getting worse. Even if you have sobriety, even if uh, you have great support, it doesn't matter. If you're an alcoholic, you'll find a way to sneak it back into your life. It's very sneaky, it's demonic, and it's demoralizing. If you're in your 20s and if you think it's still fun and you romanticize it, then you're gonna have to go back out and hit a rock bottom because I've relapsed hundreds of times and never got better. Um, and I did it on my own lots of times. I got 9 months of sobriety, 10 months, 12 months, 21 months, uh, 2 years, and now I'm at 10 years. And I don't, it's not an option. I don't think about alcohol at all. It's just out of my mind. I don't tempt myself. I don't drink out non-alcoholic beer. I don't go into bars. I don't hang out with people that drink. I rather just hang out with two sober people than lots of people that drink. It's life or death. You got to treat this like it's life or death. There's no fooling around with this. Um, and it has been hard being, I could go to 12-step meetings, but I don't want to stay in the problem. I don't even want to talk about alcohol anymore. It's just so far away from me. And I know that can be a tricky place because it could sneak back in, but it's not an option. I burnt the bridge. It's not an option to even think about alcohol, to smell it, to try wine or try other forms of alcohol. It's all a lie. It's all Satan's lie. It's the biggest lie in the world. People are so, most of the people in prison were drunk when they committed their crimes. It has done nothing for society. And every weekend, people are getting arrested and beating up people at the bar scene because it's just demonic. It's low vibrational Nothing comes from it. It's a dark, seedy place. The last, my rock bottom, I was sleeping on a bed with no sheets because I pissed my bed every night. Got to the point where I didn't even make the bed anymore, and the mattress stunk like urine. I was hanging out with a homeless guy, beer cans all over the floor, piss all over the place, spit, vomit, uh, stink. I stopped showering, stopped clipping my nails, just wanted to rock back and forth on a bed and be left alone. And that's no way to live. That's basically you're just waiting to die. And I knew a lot of people that just were waiting to die. Uh, next door, my next door neighbors, they were on SSI and they just got wasted every day and they were just waiting to die. They had nothing going on. They'd go to the food bank and get a bag of food, and they'd get their 340s and go home. And it's not a way to live. So now I want to help you guys. So when you get sober, the best thing you can do is help others by sharing your story, your testimony, and that will keep you sober. Change your eating habits. Stay away from sugar. Switch to stevia. Do not eat sugar because that's what alcohol is basically. It's fermented sugar basically. And switch to stevia. Try to eat organic. Do keto, do Atkins, stay away from carbs. It's a very dangerous place. I eventually quit candy bars and I quit cigarettes. So, but I did switch to cigarettes and candy bars when I got sober, but eventually all of that left. And now I'm completely organic, healthy food, work out, I jog, I do stationary bike, I shadow box along with MMA fights on TV. I don't watch drama. I don't watch junk on TV. I read self-development books. So you got to rewire your brain for success. If you want to learn more about what I'm promoting, click the link under this video. It will help you change your thinking and start attracting more success in your life. And that's it. That's how I have stayed sober this long. And now life is pretty amazing. And again, leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe if you're new here. And we'll talk to you soon. Check out my older videos too. They're really good.